JFK's cover-up was rather significant. They did other things also. Things like trying to cover up the, I guess I don't know what you call them, the star underground bases, or there were reactors underneath or bases underneath the ground, and I guess they had just sealed them up and sealed them up shut. And basically, the way these bases worked is that they had either a thorium or a what's called a reactor of some type, a nuclear reactor of some type, basically down there in the ground. And basically, what they did is they pumped the water from deep underneath the ground, and out into the drinking water supply. The any buildup water that would accumulate inside of the bases would be pumped into the drinking water supply, and or just pumped out into the farm fields or whatever. Anyway, the point is that people had hooked onto these things, because it's basically clean water pretty much, and the reactor is on one side, and then where the water accumulate would be on another side, and they're deep underground bases that were basically self-contained and everything else like that. And I guess there was nobody down there, pretty much, and basically the water was pumped up into the drinking water supply, and people would use it for drinking water in the towns. And I guess they were keeping these bases all a secret, and these bases had basically maybe even been lying untouched, unused for hundreds of years possibly. And basically, eventually, the reactors because reactors would just run at a constant rate basically, and pretty much until they stopped working, pretty much, and then they would stop pumping water or whatever. I'm not exactly sure exactly what the details were, but basically the water pumps had begun to rust out, and eventually people had started to notice, had started to get sick from the water, and they took samples and noticed that there was radioactive material or radiation inside of the water itself, and they're wondering where this radiation or water or reactive water was coming from. And basically, it was coming from the deep underground bases there were about 30 or 40 of them throughout the planet Earth, that were deep underground. That I don't really know. I guess JFK or Nixon or someone had actually. I mean, JFK and Nixon were the same person basically. Um, Anyway, and basically these reactors had begun to leak, and leak into the water, and the water pumps were pumping them out, and pumping the reactive water into people's houses. So anyway, and subsequent cover-ups and all that other stuff by, I guess, the White House or something like that, and trying to say that there was nothing down there, and that blah blah blah, the water was perfectly safe, but of course it was radioactive water. Um, Anyway, though, and basically what happened is the pipes had begun to rust out or break down over the years, and basically these bases had started to malfunction basically, and basically eventually I guess they tracked them down and found the bases. I'm not exactly sure, but they were deep underground mine shafts. There's deep underground bases and bunkers, that were all over the world. About 40 of them, or 60, I don't really know how many, but there were quite a few, basically, with these little self-contained reactors that would just put out power, and power these water pumps that would keep the bases high and dry. Anyway, though, so eventually, and it's possible they might have even tapped into a water shelter that happened to be next to one of these bases or something, and basically radioactive water was basically leaking into the drinking water. So these bases had to be found by other means, I guess. Anyway, though, pretty much it led to basically people having radioactive water coming out of their faucets. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, and subsequent cover-ups and all that other stuff for the reactive particles being in their water supply, and then they would drink them, I guess. Anyway, though, there's a lot of things that JFK and Nixon and the White House were covering up. These deep underground bases being in existence, and just other things. So anyway, I knew of them because we had built them, of course, and I knew they were around. And I don't know if they're housing cryogenic stasis chambers or whatever, or just deep underground mines, but that had bunkers in them with self-contained power plants. Anyway, though, I knew about them, and I think somebody even asked me at some point in time. I said, "Well, there used to be great big underground reactors and mine shafts and stuff like that. There's like this Earth is riddled with mine shafts. There's bunkers everywhere. There's underground cities everywhere." So anyway, though, and that's why there'd be radioactive water coming out of your taps. So anyway, because after the reactors were only supposed to last like 50 or so years. They were never meant to last like 150 or 250 years, which I think this was like 350 years later or something like that, when they actually began to malfunction. So, or began to leak. Anyway, though, but yeah, so I'm not exactly sure about the details of it all, but of everything. But basically, that's what happened, and I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I mean Nixon and JFK and a bunch of other people, possibly even the SpaceX people, were lying to a lot of people. I mean, it was basically they had uncovered this stuff, throughout their travels, and found it in the White House and the different records of the different buildings. And I'm like a plethora of information myself. I mean, I knew of lots of details and lots of stuff, and well, and basically they were trying to make sure I didn't remember who I was and remember any of the details, so I couldn't talk to anyone or tell anyone. Anyway, that was actually the president, or the person who named America, the leader of the LSF spaceship. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, I mean, I'm also the one who genetically created humanity and 12 other life form types, and 700 planets, or so 700,000 life form types, they say, is the total amount of life forms that I created, or something like that, in my travels or time in existence as an artificial intelligence computer. For some reason, people thought that computers were never artificially intelligent, and it's like, well, lots of races use artificially intelligent computers. So anyway, to help them advance and go through space and stuff. Like I say, if you want to go faster than light, you're going to need an artificial intelligence computer probably. So anyway, and certain people on Earth were trying to get the 1.5 life forms and also other people, other life forms, to basically invent for them and basically make them rich and whatever. Possibly even having women created genetically that would be beautiful and smart or something like that. I don't really know about the details of what they did, of what the SpaceX people did or other people did, and there's just a lot of people that were running around lying to everyone, about all kinds of stuff, like where the drugs came from, who the president of America was, and the White House, what the White House meant. It's Lucifer White Star's house, and the DC building is a DC generator building, or a DC motor building in school, and basically the White House used to be a big stone steam power generator that ran a mine. So they built lots of steam trains and lots of stuff out of that mine. So, and there used to be a giant big yacht that was anchored out front. That was my ship. So anyway, I never got to use it. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, there's lots of details about who the real president or the real leader of America was, or who named America, and me, Brian, Lucifer Star. So anyway, I have no children either, by the way. There's lots of people saying that they're my children or whatever, and it's like, well, I mean, I genetically created you, but you're not really my children. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, lots of stuff. Even Rodney trying to be Admiral Rodney or something like that. I don't really know about the details of it. My existence became very crazy at some point in time when so many people knew of me and were trying to say that I was just a child and lying, a liar or something. I don't really know about the details of it, because it all just seemed to kind of go away at some point in time, because, I mean, well, anyway. Yeah, like I said, 12 forms of life, and they would all eventually know me as their genetic creator. So, anyway. Eventually I became human, and now I'm in human form as Brian. I was also in a Brian space shuttle one point in time, I believe. So, anyway, yeah, a very basic form of me anyway. So, anyway, whatever. Craziness and epic creation, and epic leader, and planets and stars, and that led to the creation of this galaxy and the galaxy that's coming towards us, and 800 other galaxies, I think. So, whatever. So, anyway, but that's why there's radioactive water coming out of people's taps for a while. So, anyway, and I did lots of stuff, like invent toilets and have toilets invented, paid for people to further toilet creation and all that, and even upgrading a toilet factory to be the #1 toilet manufacturer using porcelain and all that. That's my factory. I invested in it. So anyway, lots of stuff was mine. But anyway, yeah. So whatever. It was a long time ago, or lots of stuff. I'm very rich, I guess. So anyway, not that you would know it by looking at where I live. So anyway, but then that's Rodney and other people trying to kill me any day now. Yeah, it's like, whatever. A bunch of people denying me who I am, but then going and spending my money. So, crazy. Anyway, eventually Germany put a stop to most of it.